Welcome to the Iron Edge podcast, all about unlocking your full potential inside and out of the gym. Our guest today is none other than the Stoneman, Martin Janczys. Did I say that right?
Janczys.
Janczys, my apologies.
The C's in the name are silent.
Okay.
So it's spelled Janczys, but the C's are like silent. So it's pronounced Jansis.
Got you, okay. I'd never...
But no one gets it right.
What was... Because what's the background? Like, where's your last name from?
That's Hungarian.
It's Hungarian, okay.
Yeah, my dad and his mum came over here to escape the war.
Got you, yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah, my grandfather came over during the war, so that's why I've got the Polish last name.
Mm-hmm.
So, over from... Like, what brought you over? You were over for the fort at number 4, right?
4.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, perfect.
Highland Games at 4.
Yep. How was that weekend?
That was really good. Even there was a few rain showers, but it didn't deter anyone.
Yeah.
The Highland Games, the heavies just kept going. Everyone enjoyed themselves. We had a strongman competition, just using natural stones. 5 events, and that was just perfect.
Nice. So if you don't know about Martin, he's from Scotland. I should have led with that. He's from Scotland, massive in stone lifting, big time Highland Games guy as well. Over from Scotland for that event. So, and then you're imparting wisdom with natural stones around the world as well.
I try my best.
Yeah. So with the natural stone competition of the games, was that like a lot of seasoned people, or was it just like first timers?
It was in between.
Yeah.
Some people, it was their first time, and others they'd competed in like strongman competitions previous, but only maybe over the last year or 2.
Got you.
Then after the competition was over, I went up and started teaching people about lift.
That was going to be my next question.
But the good thing was there was maybe like 30 kids that it was involved as well. So getting to teach little kids from maybe 6 to like 12, 13, as well as adults, Nice. But it was really cool how many kids they were wanting to give it a go. Yeah,
well, I feel like, we were talking about this very minorly before we started this. Like, stone lifting has exploded the last, what do you think, 10, 15 years?
I would say more since Stoneland in 2016.
Yeah.
But even then, it wasn't near as big as it is now.
Oh, no.
It's like, I would say maybe over the last 3 years, it is just, over the world, it is just
it's
really exploded
massively.
Completely.
Yeah.
Because when I started in 2011, I think it was October, that was the first time I lifted a stone, which was the Inver stone.
Mm-hmm.
There was only maybe a handful of people that really did this. But then now there's it's hard to find someone that doesn't know what stone lifting is, or even give it a shot in the back garden. Or
well, it's like when I was the youngest to lift the Dinnies for a while. I did them with straps at 17, and it blew me away just how little of the other strongmen competing in Scotland had tried them, or honestly even knew about them.
Yeah.
At that point in time, and you were talking, this was been, I'm trying to think how long it was been like 2005, 2006 time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now I feel like if you're a strongman in Scotland and you've not lifted the Dinnie stones, it's sort of odd.
Yeah.
It's
like if you're a strong man and you've not went to a gym.
Yeah.
Kind of thing,
Yeah.
But because, like I said, it's kind of hard to find someone that is interested in strength who hasn't actually lifted any of the stones.
Yeah.
Or has the will to want to go and do it.
Sure.
But I mean, it was definitely after Stoneland, and when it came out in 2016 December, that's what kind of really opened everything up.
What was the lead up to that in terms of because obviously I know Rogue made the documentary. Mm-hmm. Was there like hey, we're thinking about this, we want you involved, or was it, how did that development process happen?
It was really all through Peter Martin and David Webster. Because Peter Martin, his father, who was Peter Martin V, he was the first one to really start documenting all the stones, and he wrote a book about it. And then his son, the one that I knew, Peter Martin VI, he then took over from his father, and he started documenting all the stones and was writing a book. But he didn't actually get a chance to publish the book before he passed away. in late 2015.
Okay.
But then because he was very good friends with David Webster, and David was really good friends with John and Terry Todd. So when John and Terry came over to Scotland to visit David, which they often did, and vice versa, he then introduced him to Peter Martin, who regaled him with lots of historic stones and the stories mostly behind them, which made them more special.
It brings them to life.
Yeah, and then you realise how each one is unique, got its own like backstory and location, surrounded in Scottish history and culture.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of fell in love with all that. And then they, because they are so close with Rogue, they then collaborate with them to make the documentary.
Okay.
And Peter would have been like the face of the documentary, but of course he'd passed away beforehand. Yeah. But then I knew Bill Crawford, who was a massive part of the documentary, and I met him through Peter Martin, because he came over here one time when he was going to be judging the World Championships in Highland Games. Okay. But it was a stone called the Crawford Putting Stone. Okay. So Bill wanted to go and see that and try and lift it. And then Peter asked if I wanted to go along. So I got to meet Bill, and then we kind of hit it off and became good friends, corresponded back and forth in email. And then when I were making the documentary, they asked if I wanted to get involved. So then I then helped kind of create the foundation of it in a way as well. And then I got permission from people to like lift in the field and stuff. I mean, you don't really need permission to lift the stones, but it's more because we're going to film. I went and spoke to people and that, and then I went round and started weighing all the stones and stuff. Nice, okay. So we get better weights and things, and just kind of speaking to people who might be willing to speak on camera or just be involved in somehow. And then just a general kind of plan of where we could go, what stones we could lift. And then I was speaking on the phone with John and Terry, and we just kind of collaborated and kind of got a basic tour together. Okay. And then they came over and the rest is history.
That's cool. So I mean, how deep were you into stone lifting at that point?
I had the bug. And then I got it in this. Well, before I got into stone lifting, I was working on a building site as a builder. Okay. But then I realised I was getting a lot stronger than everyone else, because I kind of got fed up of like waiting for people to like help lift stuff. Because a lot of people just gab or are doing something else. So instead of waiting for like someone to help me lift something onto the back of a pickup, for example, I would just pick up the cement mixer and put it on my cell and all that sort of stuff. Or a big 6-foot concrete lintel. I would just put it on my shoulder and got my ladder, put it in place. And then I thought, right, I'm going to go and research the strongman competitions. But back then it was like summer 2011. Okay. And like the under 105s and stuff which I have competed in before. That wasn't really so much thought of or on the go. There wasn't much information about it at the time. Okay. It was all like the heavy events for the World Strongest Man and that. And I didn't really want to go that far because if I get anything like 17 stone or over, I feel like unhealthy. Okay. So if I was to compete in that, I would have had to be 20 stone plus.
Easy,
But then I accidentally came across the same night about the story about the Emberstone and how the history behind it and stuff. And I thought, this is really cool. And it was in Scotland. It was only like a 2 hour drive for me. And then I seen it was Peter Martin that wrote the article. So I emailed him straight away and asking if he can give me more information on his exact location and stuff like that. And he then wrote back the next day, within a few days, and said, I'm going to be in that area, and I think it was October. So I could drive down and meet him at the pub. It was across the road. And then he would show me where the stone is. So we agreed to do that. And then I met him, went and lifted the Emberstone a few times, and then went back to the pub again, had a pint, and he just told me loads and loads of stories about different stones and stuff like that. And then I was just totally hooked. So I was quite into the stone lifting again before
Yeah.
2016, because Peter never actually lifted the stones himself, but he did all the research and history.
Got you.
But quite often, a few times he asked me to go and lift a stone and let him know what it was like to lift.
Got you. Okay.
How it felt, to like walk up to it and stuff. So it was so in 2012, I went and did the Braving Stone, and then the Dripping Cave Stone.
Yeah.
But I had to go and look for that one for like an hour because I found the location, but Peter had been up maybe 2 weeks beforehand, but couldn't actually find the stone. So I went down to the beachfront and I found a stone for his description. It was almost away in the water.
It's funny because I've heard, like, over the years, that's just, it's not uncommon that you go. I mean, I guess nowadays it's a hell of a lot easier to find stuff because it's so much more popular. But 10 years ago, it was a case of you go to lift the stone, you can't find anything, because they've not been lifted in Christ knows how long.
Because
they're buried half the time.
That's the reason, because it was after Peter died, I then created the Facebook page, Historic Stone Lifting, and kind of like his honour, just to kind of keep what him and his dad did alive. And then kind of through that page, it really kind of took off a lot more.
Yeah.
But then also I spent like 4 or 6 weeks like going through Google and stuff and taking screenshots and writing like descriptions of exact locations of how to get to each stone.
Yeah.
But then they were all kind of a few pages each. So then maybe I was giving them to everyone in PDF form.
Got you.
But then maybe a year or so later, I thought I'm going to condense everything. So then I started doing GPS coordinates instead.
Well, that was going to be my question, yeah.
And then I did a GPS coordinate. So when you park the car, the stone, you just look left or right and the stone's right there. So I made it very easy for everyone to kind of find them.
Yeah.
And then the GPS kind of coordinates just kind of took off because that was the best way to get everywhere.
It's so much more accurate than an interpretation of, take a left at this rock. Oh, was that the right rock or not,
Because that's what I did before with the print-offs. It was just, when you see this landmark, turn left here, next road. And then, or you go here, you went too far. So turn around and go back like 10 minutes. But the GPS coordinates was what really helped everyone.
It's the classic thing of the advancements in technology.
Yeah.
Just make it silly, like in terms of silly, easy to do and find and all that sort of stuff. And anything. It doesn't matter what it is. But, having that coordinate location is so much more valuable.
Yeah, because you can just find it straight away and you can go and lift it. You can have that experience of being there, being surrounded by history, by the Scottish landscapes, and just put your hand on the stone and be a part of something that's been on the go for hundreds of years. Because as soon as you go and touch that stone, your name is now embedded in that stone's history. So it's a great thing to be part of.
How do you what's the sort of diversity of people in your opinion? Like is there a lot of people in Scotland who are doing it now? Or is it like still a select few, and then you've got a lot of people coming over from the US and Canada and places like that to do stuff?
It's a mix.
Yeah.
Because even there's a lot of kids as well. There's a lot of people in Scotland who are really getting involved in stone lifting now, and there's also a lot of people from abroad who want to come over. Because I'm constantly getting messages from people saying they want to come over on this date or that date, again this year or that year. And can I help them put a kind of tour plan together, stuff like that? Or
it seems like way more sought out these days. I remember when I first started hearing I'm going to Scotland to lift the stones. I'm like, what are you talking about? It was just so odd to me. And then as the stone lifting sort of culture grew and grew, you're like, okay, this is actually a big deal. Because I think we take it for granted a little bit, if I'm honest. It's right on our doorstep. We don't sit and think about it, or at least I never, as a younger man, never sat and thought about, oh man, someone really wants to come to Scotland to lift a stone. But you sort of, it's just growing into something completely of its own.
Yes, it's kind of, it's open to everyone, and especially with the triac classes I do over here in the States, and we get from kids from 6-year-old to people in their 70s, you know, and giving it a go. So we always have a selection of stones that everyone can lift.
Yeah.
And everyone just loves to get involved in it.
Well, it's just so raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and there's no quote unquote right way to lift it, you know, in terms of like handholds and all that. Everyone's got their own little thing.
What it is, I always teach people, there's a basic form of lifting.
Yes.
So, you know, you get your hands, feet, hands, legs, and then lift.
Yep.
Can you put your hands in position using a center line of a stone, your feet and your hands at the same center line, put them under the stone just so the stone sits on your fingers at least, you know, and that's like your grip there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then can you get you bend your knees just enough so you can, I usually hit the back of my knees against the back of my arms.
Okay.
And that puts you into like an obtuse angle, so it's a really strong position. Yeah. So you can utilise all the big muscles in the body. And then deep breath and then lift. Yeah. But it's not like, but so as long as you stick to the basic form like that, and you can like maneuver a stone, turn it, it doesn't have to be a certain way.
Yes.
It can be spun, it can be turned. I mean, the bottom of the stone might be the top for somebody else. The where I hold it might not suit someone else. Yeah. But as long as you stick to that basics, it's like a deadlift. Yeah. Everyone has the same basic form, but they'll maybe change their hand position, their leg position. Some people might come in close, might put the legs out wider. But the same basic form is still there. Yeah. But they've all got their own little way that works best for them. So then they can utilise the muscles of the body, mechanics of the body properly. It suits them so they can get the best out of that exercise. Yeah. So that's what it'd be stone lifting. But for all it kind of sounds as just picking up a stone, I mean, it can change your life. Yeah. I mean, when I was at school, I had no confidence in myself and stuff like that. I couldn't even stand up and speak to like 3 people. Wow. But now I could speak to 1,000. Yeah. But it's just through lifting stones and training and stuff, focusing and give myself something to kind of aim for. And then lifting a stone, working out how to do it the best and that, I've got that self-confidence in myself.
Well, it's the same for strongman for me. You know, it's like, I was a bigger kid, you get bullied and all that stuff, and then when you find something that like it works for you, if that makes sense. Yes. You know, it's something that you can attach yourself to, and it gives you that boost in who you are type of deal. You know, I think it's the same thing we're talking about.
We can all find that kind of our own personal greatness within ourselves that can push us on in life to do anything we want, you know? So for me, it was stone lifting. It made me a far better person. Yeah. And I've had so many experiences from that. Because like, so if I write it with a capital S all the time. Okay. Because I've got so much respect for what I have had out of it. Yeah. So I don't know where I would be without that in my life. I might be, to me, I'd be like a nobody. I get it. I'd probably be sitting at home on the couch watching TV. I would just be, I honestly don't know where my life, what direction it would have taken if it wasn't for lifting Inverstone in 2011.
It's wild, really. You know? When you really sit and think about it, that bare bones.
It changed my life completely. Yeah, kind of stone lifting. Yeah, but it's the history that's behind it. You know, when I look at every problem in life, I look at it as a misshapen stone. Kind of like if you're standing over a stone, right? It's misshapen, it's off balance. The texture might be smooth, or you really got to find your hand position, or you've really got to work out the best position for a stone to be in for you to utilise what you've got the best you can. So you maybe try and pick it up off the ground an inch, and it might roll backward or forward because your hand position might be off. So you stand up, take a step back, you look at it, you readjust your thought process, you come in, you change it, you grab it, and you succeed. So I look at life, every problem in life is a stone. And I'm just, if I kind of work it out there and then, I'm just going to take a step back, readjust my thinking, and then go for it again.
That's actually a fantastic way to look at things.
So,
I never
so it's helped me in all aspects of my life.
So I know you were talking about beforehand starting like a charity and all that stuff, and really trying to use stone lifting as
it's like the medium, it's like the base, the basics. And then for me, like I say, I was kind of shy kid. I was because when I was born, I had like a meningitis.
Okay.
And then mum and dad were coming back and forth to hospital and stuff all the time. And then one time when they went away for maybe lunch or way home, the doctor phoned them up and said, "You better come and see your son because we've called the priest because he's waiting to die.
Jesus.
And he's going to live." So because of that, and I was born with one kidney as well. So I was on a lot of medication and stuff for maybe 7-8 years of my life.
Okay.
I was actually on that. And once I was on one sort of medication, and it was actually making it worse. It was killing me.
Wow.
And then the doctor rushed into the house and said, "Stop giving him that stuff. It's gonna kill him, kin." So because of that, I was my mind was like drowsy. I was sleeping all the time. It's just through the medication.
Yeah.
So, but back then at schools, if you weren't like the top level in your class, you had no chance. The teachers didn't really care.
Yeah.
And when I went to my high school, the teachers were all like almost retiring. So they were kind of fed up. They weren't worried.
Yeah.
So I never had much of an education at school.
Okay.
Because of that. It was because I was ill to start with, and I was on this medication for years, which just made me like drowsy and stuff. And I was always falling asleep and those kind of things. But then it was like 2019. I went to college for electronics, and I kind of gave myself an education. But even then, I was still like, I didn't care what I was going to do in my life. Okay. And I was still very shy. I didn't like to speak to people and stuff. Even walking down the street, I think maybe somebody would speak, if they're laughing at you kind of thinking. Very nervous and that, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But stone lifting, as soon as I started that, it changed all that. My confidence just burst, you know, came from myself.
Yeah.
But not in an arrogant way.
No, I know what you mean.
Because it's like if someone asked me if I've lifted Emberstone, which is the one I've done most out of everything else, I just say, yeah, I've lifted it. But that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Unless they ask for specifics, you know. Because I didn't want to take anything away from anyone else.
Yes.
Because say I've shouldered it umpteen times or whatever, if maybe someone gets it to the lap or to the chest, but I didn't want to take anything away from them.
Yeah.
Because as long as they put in 100%, then they'll always win.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can then take something away for that. But if you say, "Oh, I did it better," or "I did this," then you're diminishing what they've achieved, and they might regress a little bit. You know?
I never thought about it that way. Yeah.
You know, so, but for me, it's changed my life completely.
Yeah.
You know, everything that's happened in my life came from travelling to the people I've met to meeting you, which I've got a lot of respect for.
Appreciate
it. It's all through stone lifting.
Yeah. And that's very similar to me with strongman, you know? Like everything I've got in life these days is because of everything that happened in my strongman career, you know? And give me the opportunities to travel or meet people or whatever, you know, to bring us to now. So, I mean, have you had a lot, because I know, like, you know, again, getting back to like the charity thing a little bit, you do a lot for people with stone lifting. Yeah. Have you had a lot of people coming back to you like, "Hey, listen, thank you so much for XYZ because this is how it's changed"?
I remember probably the best one was, well, there was two. It was when I come up here, usually every year for Loon Mountain, and I go to there. Well, this year I was at the fort. So I won't be here in September. Okay. But a few times I've been here, and there was two guys, I think it was 2018. They were, one was a builder and one was a stonemason. So they're lifting blocks and stones all day, you know. Yeah. But the one they're doing it, they had no idea of like technique.
Yes.
And they came in and they told me that the triad classes can put the dead, and they've always got a sore back or sore legs or something, you know. And they've hurt themselves quite a few times trying to maneuver the stones or blocks and that. So after I showed them the technique, they found that things lifting the stone was a lot easier. And they actually came back the year later and told me that it helped them in their job.
Nice.
You know, and they've actually hurt themselves since. Yeah. So they came back in like 2019 to do it again. Okay. And they told me that it really helped them. And then there's another guy, this guy came in and he was like 17, 18, and he was quite full of himself. Yeah. Can I always start people off with a light stone just so I can teach them a technique? Yeah. Even if they say they're a strong man or something, you don't know that. At the same time, you don't know if they're losing the good technique or not. Yeah. So But this guy wanted to go straight to the big stone. And I said, well, let me see your technique in that first. And Ken, what you've done in the past and that, Ken. Because he tried, like, in one competition, I think.
Okay.
But he never, like, trained for it properly. But then he was adamant to try this big stone. Then I had to take him to one side and politely say, like, here, when you come over here, I'm your coach, so you need to listen, you know. And I'll look after you every step of the way and blah blah blah. And then after that, he was focused. He listened to everything I told him. Yeah. He started with a small stone. And says, "That okay?" And he was really polite, and he got on really well. And he actually worked up to a heavy stone. And afterwards, his dad came in and gave him like $30 and said, "Thanks for teaching my son a lesson." You know, so that's kind of changed him a lot bit as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
and I think that's the thing, like with strength in general, like, you know, like there is definitely an ego component to it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you start getting a bit more deeper into it, you're like, okay, like my outlook with in terms of strongman was like, didn't matter in terms of competition, didn't matter if I won the competition, won every single event. The way I always viewed it was that if I've gone to a competition and I've not learned something, then I've failed, you know?
Yeah, because even if you used to come, say, 10th out of 10, if you've improved on a bit of technique or improved on your 1 rep max, then that's a win.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep.
As long as you can keep progressing, and it's always a win. Because everything really, I mean, you're in competition, you want to beat whoever else. Yeah. But in life, it's all about self-progression. And that's where stones can be heavily involved in it.
Yeah. What do you think makes a good stone lifter from a biomechanical mindset and all that sort of stuff?
I would say someone who doesn't just want to go and, not like a traditional kind of gym guy who just goes in and grunts and lifts the weights and screams his head off and that, you know. Someone who's going to come in and learn the history of the stone and realise why it needs to be preserved and lifted and with respect, you know, lift it up and put it down under control the best you can, just to kind of respect other people who have done it before.
Yes.
And those who can spend time learning the technique and they don't go and brag that they are this or they are that. But they can learn proper technique, use their body mechanics properly. You can, so they can then in turn use the bigger muscles of their bodies properly. And then, of course, the smaller muscles as well, because with the stone being so condensed and so close to your own like centre of gravity, it makes it a lot harder to lift. Like if you're lifting a 100 kilogram stone or 100 kilogram on a barbell, the barbell's far easier. Yeah. Because the weights are away from you. And with the stone being so condensed as well, your muscles have got to work in a little bit different. The smaller muscles that wouldn't kind of necessarily come into play so much, they're forced more to do the work. Yeah. So it's really someone who can understand that, can spend time training, spend time learning history, and when they get to the stone, kind of embrace the culture. Yeah. But also those who can like pass on the knowledge, you know. They're not going to be arrogant, and they're going to be like, if someone asks them a question, they're going to help them out. You know, they can actually learn from everything they've done, and just help everyone else, and just kind of become like better within themselves for what they've done, and not use it as like a stepping stone to be more arrogant or, you know, just say they're better than somebody else. Yeah. Someone who has got like that in them just to kind of just use it to be better. Yeah. You know?
Talking of the preservation type of stuff, how is that, because has it become a challenge in the like with the increase in popularity?
Yes, not as much as you would think, because most people can have respect for the whole thing.
They're coming in because they know the base, the background of everything.
Yes, and they can all, it's like they won't pick a stone up and just like let it go, so then it might hit the ground, might hit the ground hard and then could split or break, and and they're not going to pick it up and scream kind of stuff, up the desk. Most people are learning that kind of to be more respectful of everything now. But there is still a lot of you that use it and say, well, you know, I'm better than you or something, you know. Yeah. But you're always going to get that. And
of course.
No matter what it is, came from sports or even work and stuff, you're always going to be a handful of people that's going to
No, I get it.
But basically, everyone is quite respectful, and everyone just kind of loves it for, like, even on a stone tour, it's a camaraderie.
Yeah.
Everyone travels out together. Everyone, say there's 10 people on a stone tour, everyone helps each other. No matter if he got to the shoulder and this guy can maybe get his chest or something. Everyone's screaming, "Come on, you can do this!" You know.
Yeah.
And everyone's having a laugh in the car from stone to stone.
Yep.
And they're taking in like the surrounding areas and stuff as they're driving. But it's just all the camaraderie and the banter,
Yeah.
and the laughs and that
Yeah.
that everyone has together.
Yeah.
Area.
Yeah, and I think realistically, when you're coming into it, especially when like on a stone tour, it's like that mutual respect, the mutual understanding of the background. You know, all these little parts that don't really play into the lifting, but completely change the actual feel of the experience.
Aye, but because I think it was going back to the question you said before about people getting in touch with me and stuff. You know, after the documentary came out, I used to have a few people get in touch, but not really too many.
Yeah,
But once that came out, for the first like year and a half, it was just every week.
inundated.
It was just crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And Bill Crawford, he was the exact same. That's why we kind of wrote the book and try and put the answers to everyone's questions in there.
Yeah.
And then, so then people could get that, and then hopefully that would answer stuff. But even last week, I still had 2 or 3 people get in touch through.
It's cool though. It's
You
good. I mean, it shows that you're highly respected in what you're doing. You know.
That's a nice feeling, you know.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
But it's a very strange feeling to think that people want your advice, you know.
Yeah, I get
It's
it.
something I've not kind of got used to yet.
Yeah. No, I understand that
You
one.
know, and then when they say to you that you've really helped them and stuff and things like this, because there are a few people at the fort come up and want me to sign books and stuff,
Yeah. Okay.
and they say how much what I've done has helped them and that, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a very strange feeling, you know.
Yeah. I get it. It's a good feeling.
It was a good feeling, but it was very,
It's like you're out your element a little bit.
yeah.
Have you had has there been any, like, talking of dropping stones and getting cracked and stuff, has there been damage to anything? We've been lucky.
There was one,
I think I remember seeing
the
this.
Wallace Putting Stone,
Okay.
which is named after like William Wallace, you
Yeah.
know, because the story went that they'd used it all them 100 years ago. William Wallace had like thrown it at somebody English.
Sounds about right.
So then it got his name, but then someone had to kind of picked up and just let it go
Yeah.
instead of trying to put it down. I mean, if you try and put it down and it slips,
Sure.
that happens.
Yeah,
All I say is just make sure you get
Don't
your
just
feet,
drop it. Yeah.
jump your feet out of the way.
Yeah.
But at least try.
Yes.
Because a guy came over and just lift it up and let it go, and then it hit another stone embedded in the ground, and then it cracked in a bit, and a bit came off it.
Shit.
But fortunately, that's like the only one that's really
Yeah.
had the damage, you know.
Good. And I'm assuming there's nothing that can be done to remedy that stone now from there.
A friend of mine took it away just to make sure it didn't get any worse.
Okay.
But I mean, you could maybe like drill a hole into both parts and then put a bar in there, a pin,
Yeah.
and then put resin in there as well. But it'll never be.
It's never going to be what it was.
No.
That's the problem.
No, it'll never be like a lifting stone again because it's now a weak area.
Yeah.
So if you to fix it and then drop it or can put it down and then
Yeah.
it might still happen again, you know.
So where's the stone now? The stone still with your friend, or is it back?
Yes,
Okay.
he's still got it, trying to get prepared
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I've not spoke about for a while, so I'm not actually sure the progression
Yeah.
of that. But
What?
if anything, you'll repair it and then put it back and put a plaque here,
Okay. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Just try and hey, look at it, but look, but don't touch. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of history behind it. Kind of that story's true, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Massive amount of
It's
history.
a crazy history to come from.
Yeah. I know. Right.
That's what makes all the stones so special. It's the hidden history behind them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the stones in Glenroy. There's one at it's 2 stones very different from each other to lift. One's called Big Red, the other one's called the Grey Mountain
Okay.
because it's shaped like a mountain.
Yeah.
And then one's 133 kilogram, and there's 137.
Okay.
But like back in the day, hundreds of years ago, when it was all like Gaelic speaking and stuff like that, so it's quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
These two stones were used to settle arguments.
Really?
You know, so instead of like, say, people worked in a farm or different farms, they get into an argument with each other, instead of like going fist to fist and maybe being off work, not being able to provide for their families and stuff like that, they would go and lift these two stones, and whoever could lift the stones the better would win the argument, and that'd be forgotten about. So, but there's also one in Wales. It was a same thing. There was a wall between these, divides two farms, and there's somebody for each farm on an argument. They'd pick up a stone and lift it over the wall, back and forth, until one of them couldn't lift the stone over the wall anymore. And then he would just win the argument. We shake hands and go their separate ways. So it's there's a lot of cool history.
Yeah, well, it's even like,
behind them, you know.
It's even like the Dinnie stones, you know. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that they were literally used to, like, they were for building the bridge, and that was really their entire use.
Yeah, they were used as like counting weights for like scaffolding.
Yep.
Because they put the rings through the stones, and then they put like a steel bar through there, and they would hang off the bridge via a rope on the bar, and just can fix the bridge in it.
Yeah.
Can repoint the bridge or change some of the stones. And then that's what their sole purpose was. Yeah. But then they had to move the stones to the other side of the bridge. So the story is that Donald Dinnie picked them up and just carried them across the bridge. Yeah. And that's where it all came from. That's why they got their fame. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, it's wild to think about something like that, like having lifted them and knowing the size and the shape and stuff. Being like, damn.
But I mean, you got to think back then as well. All they did was...
It was all manual.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, so they were training without the gym. They were training every single day just by doing their job and lifting stones every day and stuff like that. So every day they were doing something. And then, of course, he was also competing in Highland Games. Yeah. And he won thousands and thousands of medals. Yeah. You know, so... When even he was Donald Dinnie was the first person to ever go in like a soda can for Iron Brew. He was the guy that was on the front of the can. Okay, yeah. Because he was so famous. Yeah. And then what was it in World War II? I think it was they called one of the, I think it was like a big shell, like a big bomb kind of thing. It was in some of the planes. Okay. Or some of the big ammunition. They'll call them the Donald Dinnie. Really? Because there's so much force behind it.
I'd never heard of that.
Aye.
That's cool.
I think it was World War II, I think it was. Yeah. They called these big shells like the Donald Dinnies because there was so much force once it hits on behind it.
Yeah, I had no idea about that part. Wow.
So that's what makes all this so great, because every single stone is unique. There's no two the same shape. Yep. There's no two you can lift the exact same. Yeah. Everything, each and every one have their own characteristics. Whether it be the weight being off balance, so you've got to readjust your hand position slightly. Could be the texture, making it kind of smooth. It's going to be, you have to use a lot more effort and energy for the initial pickup. Yep. So then you're using energy that you can then use for the pickup from the lap to the chest. Yeah. Or it could just be the shape of the stone, the size of it. Can you make it a wider stance so you can't really get your hands underneath it? They've all got their own characteristics and their own hidden story. And that's what makes them all so special.
In terms of the material, obviously we're known in Scotland for, granite. Is it a lot of granite typically? Is it typically granite for a lot of the stones?
Yeah, most of the stones
are mostly granite.
It's a very tough substance,
Yeah. And then do you know the count? Because I've not even checked recently. Like, what's the total count in Scotland? Do we have? Do we know?
Peter was researching maybe like 80. Okay. If not more. Yeah. Because like hundreds of years ago, every clan in town
would have their own thing.
Yeah. So it's like a good story is for the Puterach stone in a place called Blackwater. That stone that's there now, Peter had to go and get out of the river. It was a river that's close by because 150 years ago, whatever, after church on a Sunday, guys would go down to the stone and try and lift it onto the plinth. Okay. But they were getting hit. Because I mean, there would have been no technique. It would just been grit force,
raw,
you know.
Yeah.
And then the minister or the priest, he came down and gave everyone a row and stuff. So he's right. I'm not having my people getting hurt and stuff again.
Yeah.
And he got the stone thrown away.
Wow.
You know. And then Peter went. He passed away in like say 15, probably like 6 years before that or whatever. He went and he wanted to see the stone, so he went and got another one and put it in its place.
Wow.
So
yeah,
they've all got such a great history behind them. Or the Ravenstone is probably it's a really cool history because they hit the churchyard, like built in the 1400s, and then you've got the gravestone made out of stone that sits above the ground, just shaped as a person. So if you're deemed as a criminal, which could be for anything back then, you know, just staring at somebody with nobility,
yeah,
or getting a bit of loaf to feed your kids or something, you know. They would be put in here. And of course, the stone slab would be on top of them with just a face visible. And then the Ravenstone that we lift today, for fun and for being a part of the culture, that was then put on top of the stone slab. And then as people would go into the church, they would like spit in them, pee in them, all sorts of stuff, you know. Yeah. So it was that was usually like a torture stone.
Huh.
So the stories are, again, there's all cool stories, you know.
Yeah.
And go through
it's so
history.
unique, and it's like, you know, the stories from one part of Scotland is going to be completely different from the stories, and the reasons for, you know, the stones and all that sort of stuff.
That's what makes them like so unique and special.
Yeah.
Not just each stone's characteristics and how you got to lift them. It's the story, and then of course where they are.
Yeah.
Because like the Glenroy stones, that's some of the most like magnificent scenery in Scotland there is. You go down there, and it's just breathtaking, you know.
Yeah.
So you've got the hills, the moors, the heather on the hill. You've got the river. You've got a lot of bridge, a lot of cottage. It's just, you know, it's real Scotland.
And that's the thing. I think that's what, you know, when you really sit and think about it. Like, I don't think a lot of people are going for the stone lifting experience, but there's so much more to it. You know what I mean? Like the, what would the word be? The feel of Scotland, the presence of Scotland.
Because in a weird way, you like pick up a stone, especially if you are Scottish, you know.
Yeah.
You pick up and you feel more connected to where you're from.
Yep.
Because you're picking up something that is part of history.
Yeah.
And it's been picked up by hundreds of people over the years before you, can go back hundreds of years. So you feel more kind of connected.
Yeah.
In a way, you know.
Do you have a lot of people who are coming over to lift them because of, especially in America, like it's like, oh, I have, you know, this is my roots and all that sort of stuff. Is that quite a big part of the culture?
You think? It's a mix of, again, because I do get a lot of people from, especially America, they get in touch and they say there's a bit of Scottish in their heritage somewhere. So they want to come down and lift the stones or lift a Pacific stone, especially, because it might be, again, the name of it might relate back to like their ancestors or something.
Yeah.
So I do get a lot of people saying because they've got like a Scottish heritage there, someone in their roots, they want to travel and lift the stones.
Yeah.
And then others just kind of want to be involved because it's just taken off.
Yeah.
You know, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a mix, like.
Yeah. I mean, because obviously like, Scotland's the country that's known for the most stones, but I mean, like, you've got stones all over the world, really, you know.
Yeah, they're everywhere. There's Scotland, which I would consider being like the hub, the main central of everything. And then you've got Ireland, you've got Iceland, which has got some great stones, even go back to the days of the Viking.
Yep.
Where I used to use the Fordrific stones as like a job interview, so to speak. If you can lift the heavier stone, you get like a stronger job on the boat, like rowing the boat. And then because you are classed as more of a man kind of thing, or kind of stronger than the rest, you would then get the first kind of pickings of women and stuff like that when they
plunder.
Aye. So it's amazing all the stories and places it is, because in Japan, you know, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, they've all got that. In Tahiti, they've got like a thing to do like every year, and stone lifting is part of that as well.
Natural thing. Okay.
You know, so it's amazing where if you research it, it's everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
all over the world. But I think Scotland would kind of be like the hub of the whole thing. You know.
Well, I feel like that's where the popularity started.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I shouldn't say like that's where it started, but in terms of like, because obviously you got Basque Country who have their own stones and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like the resurgence, I should say, has been involved with the Scottish type of stuff.
Like I said, I wouldn't say that because of Scotland it started everywhere else.
No.
It just started all the way over the place. Like so the job interview for the Vikings, you
Yeah.
know, again, that wouldn't have to do with Scotland probably.
Exactly.
But when you think of stone lifting, you think of Scotland.
Yep.
Because that's kind of books and stuff in the documentary. It's based around Scotland. So when it comes from here and just kind of works out for like popularity kind of ways, you know.
Yeah, and then talking of like popularity and the documentary and everything, obviously we know that Rogue is moving the Invitational to Aberdeen. How do you feel like that's going to change things, or do you think, or what impact, I should say, do you think that's going to have on the Scottish stone lifting? Because like, even though it's in November, you know, we can have okay Novembers at times.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you think you're going to see a resurgence of people coming to the Rogue and then going doing some stone tours?
I do, you know, I do. Because even guys from the World's Strongest Man or guys who are very high up levels up in the, say, Highland Games and such, when they come up with Scotland for any reason, they also want to go and lift one of the two stones, or even maybe one, because like I say, it might be dated back to their heritage, so maybe their name of it might be kind of, maybe their granddad did it or something like that, you know. But yeah, I could see a few people who are going to take part in the Rogue Invitational. Once that's done, they might go and lift a few.
I could see that.
Especially being in Aberdeen, because it's so close to quite a few stones, like the Emberstone, for example. Which is probably one of the most famous stones out there. That's like why that's why there's Atlas stones in our World's Strongest Man, you know? Throughout history. So it's maybe the most significant stone probably there is, you know.
Do you think we're going to see some of the stones featured at the Invitational, or how do you think that would be?
I think it would be a very good thing, because it's the location that the stones are, it also makes them kind of what they are. You know, so I think if we take them to competitions and stuff like that, you know, because the stone shouldn't really be a competition.
No.
They're all about self-growth. It's about you lifting a stone, working, reading the stone, working out, once you learn a technique, the basics, working out then the best way for you to lift it, what position it should be and where you should put your hands. It's all about you versus stone, and just kind of growing as a person through lifting that stone. So the competition factor shouldn't never really kind of be involved. It's just to be the individual against the stone. And that's it, you know, because that's how you can want to kind of way to really grow. With someone to really put your heart and soul into something. And then succeed to a level that you want to succeed to, and then use that to kind of further yourself in life with other aspects.
Talking of locations of the stones, obviously Inver used to be across from the Inver Hotel. Why am I spacing on the lady's name? Why am I spacing on her?
June Richard.
Thank you. Yeah, like meeting her it's funny, like I was thinking about this earlier when you were talking about the pub and stuff like that, and how everything sort of lines up. So like when I was a kid, we used to have a campsite in Braemar. We'd take a caravan up there and go there. And there was numerous times where we would like take the bikes out and go and cycle over through Balmoral and all that sort of stuff, and then go and have, you know, a pack of crisps and, you know, that of a pint and all that stuff at the pub. And then, you know, I look at it from a perspective of, okay, now, you know, 20 years later, I'm across the street lifting this, you know, this stone that I had no idea was there when I was a child. Just how everything goes full circle. How do you feel like the location, because obviously I know that the Inver's moved now to Braemar Garden Centre.
It's at Braemar,
How has that changed that stone? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I do, Yep.
Because I feel like there was something special about going to her house.
I mean, for lifting a stone at Braemar, because it's, again, that's like the hub of Highland Games. You know, that's like, that's where royalty goes and stuff. And that is like, if someone who completes the Highland Games, when they get a chance to compete at Braemar, that is
So
the pinnacle.
You've made it type of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then so it's in a good location, and it doesn't kind of deter anyone from visiting and lifting it.
Yeah.
But it'll never be the same.
Well, there's a certain allure to like going and knocking on the door. Hey, do you mind if I lift
Aye.
it? Yeah, no problem. Come back and sign the book.
Yeah, but then she made you feel very like welcome
Massively.
all the time. And then after you lift it, she would come and want to know how you get on.
Yeah.
And then she would invite you in for a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Yep.
Because a number of times I sat down and spoke to her and for 30, 40, 50 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
She was always, you're always made to feel welcome.
Yeah.
So that kind of factor is kind of gone now.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of down to her. It did that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's special that it still feels and great to lift it where it is. It'll never just be quite the same.
Yeah.
You know?
It can't be the same walking into someone's driveway and be like, hey, do you mind? You know? What's the procedure, I guess, in terms of like going to, because I know that, you know, with the Dinnies, it used to be they'd just be at Patark and you could just drive up and look. That's what I lived in. So that's obviously, I know that's changed. Has it changed with the Inver as well?
No.
Do you just go up and that's it? You don't have to ask permission or book a date? Because you're booked, because they book lifting dates now for the
Denny Stones, yeah.
For that, okay.
Yeah, because they're like chained up.
They're still chained, okay.
There's a chain going between the two rings.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But they are really the only ones you need to book a date for.
Okay.
Everything else you can just kind of rock up and give it a crack.
I remember the last
Lift,
time I did the Denny Stones, we were at Boyne Highland Games, and they were chained, and we'd gone up to lift them, and like, oh shit, where are these things, you know? And we got told they were at the games, so we went to the game. This is back in like 2009, and we went to the games, and Donald Dinny's grandson, I think it was his grandson.
No, it could have been.
What was his? I'm spacing on his name now. He did the whole website for a long time.
Yeah, it was Gordon Dinny.
Thank you. I was like trying to think of his first name.
Because he wrote the book, the first Donald Dinny book, along with David Webster.
Yes.
They collaborated together in that first book.
So he was there, and I think I'd met him before. And I was like, do you mind us lifting them? He goes, yeah, let me try and find the key. No one could find the key. So we got this big crowd of us lifting them, you know, or watching us lift them, just all chained up and stuff. Is there a problem with people trying to lift them chained up, or is it pretty regular?
You need to, you're never kind of get it that way.
Yeah.
Plus it'd be kind of frowned on by...
I was going to say, is it people
who looks after
people? Because they're still at Patark, are they?
Yes.
Okay.
They still sit at Patark, but instead of being outside the old pub door, which is now the front door to like the B&B kind of.
Okay.
They now sit beside the restaurant.
Okay.
Which is like a newly kind of, over the last, I'm not sure when it was built, but it's sit there now.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a really nice location for them.
Yeah.
You know. But I mean, anyone, as long as you can show that you're going to give it a good go, can lift them, you know.
Yeah.
But they've got like on a website, there's like, say you've got to lift maybe like rules kinds. You've got to, maybe a bit of lift or deadlift so much. I can't remember what it is. But that's more because people like Jim's playing and his wife, they come in from Aberdeen every time there's a lift. Okay. They document everything.
Yeah.
So then to save wasting their time as well and everyone else's time. You need wanting someone to come in, it's never going to shift them.
Exactly.
So you need to be able to prove you can do something with them first, which I can agree with.
Oh, completely.
Only because you'll be wasting people's times as well.
Yeah.
Because everything's documented, you know.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like I remember when I was doing them, it was like you'd go, you'd rock up, you'd lift them, and then you'd take some pictures or a video or whatever, and then you'd email Gordon and he'd add it to the site.
Yes.
But that was, 15 years ago now, or however long ago now. But it's completely, I think the documentation side of stuff just feels a lot more like important these days.
It's like I was mentioned before, it's like the book for Inverstone. Everyone that lifts it started in 2004.
Okay.
I think it was summer of 2004. And it's still going today because the book is now sitting at Braemar.
Yep.
So once you lift the stone, however you get on, as long as it comes off the ground, it's a lift.
Yeah.
So you can then go and add your name to that list.
Yeah.
But I spent kind of a lot of time just going through the book, taking pictures of every page, and creating a PDF document of every lift. I think the last time I updated it was maybe 4 months ago.
Okay.
So I try and keep it up to date as best I can, but it's now a document online that everyone can see.
Yeah.
They can see who's lifted it, how many people's lifted it. It's like between 300 and 400, if not more, from all over the world. And they can also look back at when they lifted it and their comments and stuff, you know, what they wrote in a book and what date they did it. So it's kind of, I think, keeping some records of some stones and all, it's kind of quite
it's
cool.
It makes you wonder, I think, when you're saying like 300-400 since 2004, it makes you wonder how many people lifted it beforehand, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the interesting thing for me. And then you start thinking about, you know, centuries worth of history with this thing, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, it's like there was stories from with the Emberstone where a guy from Skye, I think he was working in England, but he was travelling back and he was going through Scotland, but needed money to like get home. And he came across Donald and his father, Robert, didn't he? And he said, can you give me a job as a labourer?
Yeah.
And he said, well, if you can lift that stone onto that wall, I'll give you a job. That was Emberstone. So, of course, he picks the stone up to his chest and puts it on a wall and takes it off again. And he says, right, you start the one. You know, and of course, he said, what's your name? Donald. So he says, my first-born child, I'm going to call him after you. He was so impressed.
Wow, okay.
You know? And then there was another story with the same stone, Emberstone, when it was like horse and carts before cars, you know. There was guys who would go around and do like bobber jobs, odd jobs.
Yeah.
Jobs for anyone who needed something done just to make the money.
Yeah.
And people had their own like territories where they would go to do jobs for people. So like their own clients kind of thing.
Okay.
And this guy once came from another town at this other boy's town who does the jobs. I can't mind their names. But then he wouldn't leave. So the guy went and picked up the Emberstone and put it in the back of his cart. And he was just strong enough to lift it back out. So he went and
I didn't even know about that.
So he went and complained, right? And the guy said, right, I'll tell you what, as long as you didn't come back here again and steal my clients, I'll take it back out again. So he did, and he never came back.
It's funny like, for me now, like you know, having at least some experience with the stones, and then but not knowing any of this. It's really cool to be able to to hear some of these things.
But the same way that they've been the names as well, can have been called so many names over the years as well.
Yeah.
Kind of starting in Gaelic like Clachnair, you know, stones of skin, strong stone or stones of strength, you know, manhood stones and such. And then the more common name now is historic stones.
Yeah.
Again, which came about in early 2006. Well, 16 when I was doing the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of a name to call the page that everyone could like know exactly what it was.
Yes.
And I had a big list of things written down on a bit of paper, maybe 20, 30 names. And then I thought, historic stone lifting, we'll call it that. And then I started calling the stones just historic stones.
Yeah.
Because the history behind every single one.
Yeah.
And now that name is the name that everyone uses. So if you say historic stones, you know exactly what everyone is.
When I started, it was just it was manhood stones, and that was it. Yeah. Damn.
So
it's cool. It's like to really be, you know, seeing the progression of everything is incredible. You know, in terms of like, because I know you'd mentioned before the classes and all that stuff. Are you doing a lot of stuff in the UK, or I mean a lot? I know you said you did quite a good amount online and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've had a few like one-to-one classes, but it was mostly like online.
Yeah,
because it was actually more people in America wanted to learn how to lift properly.
Yeah.
So I would like give them make a selection of videos.
Okay.
Give them explaining technique, you know, how to stand, the basics, and how to look in the technique from lifting onto a lap, and then pull the stone out to close your body, put your chest into it. So when you stand up, it's stones high up on the chest.
Yeah.
All these little bits of technique in different videos.
Yeah.
And then I'll get them to train. I'll give them a training plan, and then for several times a week. It was always depending on their own availability.
Yes.
I work with them for the plan, so everyone was taught different.
Okay.
Especially with a training plan.
Yeah.
Because one guy can only maybe train twice a week because
work or whatever.
Yes, and they just had a newborn kid and that,
Yeah.
When somebody else could train like any day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've had quite a few people get in touch, but mostly from America.
Okay.
But then when I come over here and teach it one-on-one, to usually get like at Loom, we maybe get like over 3 days, over 100 people.
Yeah.
We went and go, and it was really cool, because everyone was loving it. The crowd was around it, it's clapping and cheering.
Yeah.
But I think my greatest kind of attribute to the Stones is teaching people like body mechanics.
Yeah.
Of how to can set yourself up, how to use all the muscles, can using the joints properly, because every muscle crosses a joint. The origin point and the insertion point is you can lift, can get yourself in a proper position.
Yeah.
And of course, like the size of people as well, whether they've got a big stomach or they're taller,
Yep.
Can teach them a little bit different as well, because they can their own body shape,
Yeah.
Everything kind of little bits change, but the basics is always the same. But I think my best thing to teach is more like the body mechanics of the whole thing, and just try and get everyone to use their own body and muscle system the best they could for their advantage.
Yeah. What do you think is the best, sort of routine for stone lifting? Like, do you mix in gym stuff as well, or do you do a lot of just basic stones?
There's a mix, because assistance work is quite important as well for the stones. But mostly, I think it was like 2012, I came up with 2 exercises. The front stone squat, which is called stone squats. So it's just getting the stone to lap and just standing up and back before squatting it before you put it back on the ground.
Yeah.
Just like a front bar kind of squat.
Yeah.
And the stone rows.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think the stone rows is maybe the most important one. Because apart from it develops your grip.
Yeah.
When without grip, the stone isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Even once it's on the lap, if you can't grip it tight enough, when you stand up, you'll not get a full stand up, and the stone will be stuck on your stomach.
Yeah, yeah.
But stone rows are I came up with them to do them heavy.
Okay.
So then, example of if you're wanting to lift like a 100 kilogram stone, but you couldn't get it over your lap, over the knees on the lap, then you go and put like a weightlifting plate on top of that stone, maybe 10, up to like 10, 15 kilos.
Yeah.
And you spend like 3 to 4 weeks rowing with that stone.
Yeah.
Take the plates off, so it's 100 kilograms again. And then through the strength you've gained, through like the negative phase and stuff of the movement, you've gained the strength to lift it up over
the knees.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I never thought about
that. And then if you want to go to the gym and simulate the stone lift, you can do like front bar squats, because in the bars in front of the body, and there's also more pressure on the quads because it's at the front. Or even that movement from getting the stone on the lap and you're standing up here with it.
Yeah.
It's that movement in the shoulders,
Yeah.
I do heavy dumbbell rows.
Okay.
Because it kind of simulates that movement. So when you're lifting a stone, you're never just going to hold it tight in your chest.
Extend.
You're going to move.
Yeah.
It's going to fall down a little bit, and you're going to lift it up a little bit.
Yeah.
That. So that movement there, I find it heavy.
It's funny talking
dumbbell
about
rows.
Yeah. It's like I'd never thought about something like that.
It's just because it mimics the movement.
Yeah.
Well, and then it really strengthens everything up.
Nice.
But at the same time, and if you want to press stones, just you can do incline press, because you need to really work in the upper pec muscles.
Yep.
And then to get in that position.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Okay. So to wrap things up, where can people? Because I know there's multiple places for people to find you. They've got the Historic Stone Lifting Facebook group. Let us know, like Instagram. Do you have a website? All that sort of stuff.
I mean, if they want to get in touch with me, they can get through either Facebook, which is Martin Johnson's, or Instagram, which is the Stone Man, or Martin Johnson's.
Yep.
One of them two, and then I can answer any questions.
Perfect.
Okay, whether it be about the history of stones, the technique, like Peter Martin or say like David Webster, who were at the forefront of everything, you know.
Yeah.
Anyone from like history or just the history of the stones, the location where they are in Scotland, about Scotland, where people can like stay when they're travelling. Can I get that question quite a lot as well? What kind of hotels or towns should they stay in to do this, and that? So there's that as well.
Damn, okay.
So I'm happy to give people any information I can to try and give people the same kind of feeling and kind of confidence that I've gained through this. I would just like to give that to other people, so they can then use that to then better their own life. You know, because I mean, you can put that confidence towards anything, whether it be a job interview, driving test, or just traveling. Anything. You can put that confidence you've gained through, say, stone lifting to anything you want. Plus, it's a very functional movement.
Well, that's what they're saying.
You know, so you learn to learn stones properly through technique, and you can use that for anything. You know, like in the garden, even picking up shopping. Or like some me, kind of I get a new washing machine delivered. I can pick up and lift out of the house. Or play with it a lot of while. You know. So it's a very, very functional movement.
I think that's what people forget is that it is like it carries over into everything. Whereas barbell training is a little bit limited.
Yes, but then because stones are awkward to lift, and your body mechanics are going to change while you're lifting it. Unlike lifting a bar, where it's just straight up and down. And a lot of muscles, like we were saying before, they're going to come more into play. The whole body is going to be utilised because it's a big movement, compound movement. But then because with a stone, there's a lot of muscles that wouldn't be so focused on. They come more into play. And then that is where the functional movement comes as well as the technique. So you can use it at work, in the building sites, or just moving anything that's kind of awkward and heavy, you know, just so you can stay away from injury or minimise anything ever happening.
Minimise.
But at the same time, you don't have to wait for someone to give you a hand to move something.
You go.
Just pick up and rip it and grip it.
Love it.
Grip it and rip it and go.
Thank you so much, Martin. I very much appreciate you coming on.
Well, it's truly an honour to be here.
Thank you.
And then, let's say I've got a lot of respect for you and what you do, and who you are and your business. And
thank you.
So it's my honour to be here and be part of it.
Means a lot. Yeah, it's been fun. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's been great.